What's up, guys? I'm coming at you with my DD deck profile. Um, Unfortunately, if you don't see any videos from me for a little while, it's because my phone ended up getting broken, unfortunately, and I'm working on getting a camera, but it just crushes me. But, alright, so DD deck profile. Now, before I start, if you have any questions, you can message me at the Dark Pegasus. No, after the video. I'll deal with that after the video, because that has been changed, just for private reasons. Now, before I start this deck, I am missing a few extra deck cards, but I will be going over those anyways. And this deck is not made to be pendulumed. We do not pendulum with this deck. If you have the cards, by all means, go ahead. And I got my hands on a first edition Blue Eyes White Dragon, like one of the original prints. It is pretty cool. And no, I did not get it from a pack, if you were wondering that. I actually bought it. It's pricey, but it's an original, no surprise there. Alright, so I don't really run many 3-ofs in this deck. I actually only run 2 cards that are 3-ofs. Everything else is a 2-of or 1, mostly 2s. So the only monster I run a 3-of is DD Lamia. Lamia is an easy special summon. It's also a level 1 tuner that you can use if you want to take out a Lamia and put in a Ghost. By all means, that is fine. I don't like running Ghost. Levels never line up with Ghost. If you have level 8 type, you're going to rather Xyz summon into Dark Armageddon than Synchro into Bright Armageddon. Lamia is a way around that. So next, 2 Night Howler. Night Howlers makes an easy synchro into Gust King. When Night Howler is summoned, you are able to special summon another DD from your grave, but its attack and defense becomes 0 and its effects are negated. So, it's meh. Next, 2 Arthros. This is also our normal DD lineup. 2 Arthros to finish off our tuners. Arthros is really useful when it comes to getting your level 8 Siegfried out, and then you can use Siegfried to negate one of your contracts that you've already used, obviously, and then after it's been negated, you can Xyz that right off into Dark Armageddon. I'm sorry, I am tired, and this stupid COVID-19 going around is really driving me crazy, so I need a way to relieve that, which is the point in this video. Next, to Lilith. I find Lilith handy trying to get stuff like your Savant Kepler back to your hand, but if you don't really get Lilith, it's not a huge problem. 1 Cerberus, level 4, not really much to go into there. 1 Necro Slime. I'm trying to get a second Necro Slime, but I can't seem to find one, so I'm currently stuck with one. And then 1 Vice Typhoon. Vice Typhoon helps with fusions as well as Necro Slime. When you can banish the Necro Slime from your grave to fusion summon, and when Vice Typhoon is sent to your grave, you can fusion summon 1 DDD fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your grave, banishing fusion materials from your graveyard, including this card. So unfortunately, you can't go into your purple Armageddon with that because it requires 2 DDDs. Vice Typhoon's not DDD, but you could easily go into something like Flame King Genghis or High Flame King Genghis. Alright, so that's it for the DD monsters. The normal DD monsters. Moving on to the Savant monsters. 2 Kepler. I don't like seeing Kepler too often, but you need to see it consistently enough to get that search. When it's summoned, you get to search a dark contract from your deck to your hand. there's only like 7 contracts in this deck. Oh, no, 9. There's only 7 spells in the deck, which are all contracts. But Savant Kepler gets any of your dark contracts you need to your hand at any time. I don't even know how to pronounce that. Gallet. It's just in here for the pendulum scale if need be. And if you do need to return a dark contract to prevent you from being killed, that's no problem. But it's just in there for if you get the pendulum scale. Next we have 1 DD7 Copperness. I don't even know how to... I'm so sorry if I butcher these names. I am terrible with names right now. But when this card is normal special summon, send 1 DD or dark contract from your deck to the grave. That comes in handy when you're sending like Vice Typhoon. I think I called it Dice Typhoon earlier, but don't matter. But Vice Typhon, fusions, Necro Slime fusions, but there's not really too much you want to send, so there's pretty simple. Savant Newton, you can discard this card, write 1 DD or dark contract in your grave, accept itself and add it to your hand. So you're not really using the pendulum aspect of them that much, but there we go. That allows you to get it's a Savant, but from grave to hand instead of deck to hand. Now this is actually one of the only cards you want to play in the pendulum scale. Savant Nicola, however the fudge you want to pronounce that. It allows you to gain. You cannot pendulum summon except DD. Cannot be negated once per turn. You can discard 1 DDD monster, target 1 level 6 or lower. Gains 2,000 attack and defense at the end of the turn. So that's an easy way to OTK with a deck that's not meant to OTK. And that could be that could be different, but that's it for the Savant lineup. Moving on to our DDDs. Our level, well, technically they're not all level 8s, but 2 Abyss Ragnarok. Ragnarok's comes in handy, but if you see it too often, it can break you, but if you don't see it enough, you're not going to be able to go into Dark Armageddon. Same thing with Armageddon, but Armageddon, in my opinion, doesn't have as much to do as Ragnarok. Ragnarok has a better effect. If you want to run 3 Armageddon, no Ragnarok, by all means, these 3 need to be these 3 in any way. 3 Armageddon, 3 Ragnarok, 2 and 1, don't matter. Next we have the 1 Chaos King Apocalypse. Chaos King Apocalypse does come in handy, and it makes a nice level 7 to pair with Night Howler, I'm sorry. And it's got a pretty decent effect. It could be better, but it could be worse. And Leonidas, pretty good. If you want to run 2 Leonidas, it's the same thing between these as if it were to be for those. If you want to, by all means, go ahead and run 2 Leonidas. Leonidas allows you to, if you were to take effect damage, you can special summon it from your hand, or if it's in the pendulum scale, you can destroy this card and any effect damage would be increased. It's the same both ways, it's just discard, special summon over destroy and pendulum scale. Moving on to our spell cards. 3 Dark Contract at the gate. You need that search. That search is amazing. It's not once per turn. It's not a hard once per turn, which comes in handy. So it allows you to search any DD to your hand. Pretty basic. 2 Dark Contract at Swamp King. This is a hard once per turn, unfortunately. And obviously they all deal 1000 damage, except the next two, which deal 2000. Fusion summons, pretty basic. You can banish from your grave. It becomes a dragon's... Oh, I'm sorry. I am not looking at my camera so much. Swamp King is pretty meh. It's a dragon's mare for fiend monsters. During a main phase, you can fusion summon one fusion monster from your extra deck using hand or field as fusion materials. If summoning a DD, it allows you to banish from the grave. So it's not quite Dragon's Mare, but for DDs, it is a Dragon's Mare. Next move, Forbidden Dark Contract of the Swamp King. This was something I was debating really hard on. Because Forbidden Dark Contract of the Swamp King is not that useful. It's, compared to normal Swamp King, it is terrible. Summon a DD from your hand, and then if you fusion summon, you have to fusion summon using that monster. But I like it for the summon, so you can Xyz into Dark Armageddon, or if need be, you can also Synchro into Bright Armageddon if you have Night Howler out. If you can fusion summon, by all means, but this is pretty much the fastest way to get any of your fusion or any of your Armageddons out. Next we have our one Dark Contract of the Entities. You're just continuously going through this stack, fusion, synchro, and Xyz. Not so much pendulum, but this is where Dark Contract of the Entities comes in handy because you've always got effects triggering off of it. 2000 damage for these two, 1000 for the rest during your standby phase. Moving on to the traps. The last of the Dark Contracts. 2 Dark Contract with the Witch. Dark Contract with the Witch. All fiends gain 1000 attack right off the bat during your opponent's turn only. That makes Armageddons, with the exception to the normal, a 4500 you have to get through. If you have all 3 of them out, there's nothing you can do about it. Other than overpower that. And then you can discard. You can send one DD or Dark Contract from your hand to the grave. Does not specify discard. And that matters for some effects. Not in this deck, but send one DD or Dark Contract from your hand to destroy a card on the field. Next we have 2 DD rerolls. Reroll was another one of those I was iffy on. Dark Contracts can't be destroyed by opponent's card effects. You can banish this card from your grave. I like it for the banish effect. Because if you're Lamia, when you special summon it, when it leaves the field, it gets banished. Put that right back into the deck. Human Resources, shuffle 3 cards into your deck from DDs in your hand, field, grave, and in your pendulum zones. In your pendulum zone. Add 2 DD monsters from your deck to your hand. So, 2 human resources. My bad, I just read it without playing it down. Like I said, this virus is driving me crazy. But by all means, there we go. 2 DD recruits. Your opponent cannot have more monsters than you do. If your opponent controls more monsters than I do, sorry, butcher that. Target any number of DD monsters and or Dark Contracts in your grave, up to the difference, and add those to my hand. So there's a way to get your Dark Contracts if your opponent does end up destroying him. Go. I was actually thinking about taking out reroll for this next card, just one. Contract Loitering. Destroy Dark Contracts, take 1000, and then draw a card for each, or gain 1000. Draw a card for each contract destroyed. You have to destroy all your contracts, though. So if you have all 5 contracts on the field, you're about to die because you have all 5 contracts. There's a total of 7000 damage, max in this deck with contracts. And you've taken a hit from like a Curry Bandit or something. Something pretty weak. 1000 or more attack. Well, you can just flip this Contract Loitering, gain 5,000 life points on top of drawing 5 cards. 5, not 3. You only caught the 3 in my finger. Which is nice, but I don't have a second one, so I was thinking about re-rolling one away. Reroll comes in handy, but it doesn't really help. Alright, so next we have our extra deck. Cards that are flipped backwards are cards I don't have that I need. I will show you, I might have like one alternative. Yep, I had one alternative in here. But, alright, so one purple Armageddon, one bright Armageddon, one dark Armageddon. Armageddons are really nice. Unfortunately, I can't get a second purple Armageddon, but I would rather go with what I have at the moment than anything else. If you don't want to run the Armageddons, you can run stuff like the Ragnarok lineups for it. But I like the Armageddons better. Alright, so Armageddons. Next, we have Flame King Genghis and High Flame King Genghis. I like running one of each because you can easily fusion into High Flame King or normal Genghis, just 2 DD monsters. High Flame King requires 1 level 5 or higher DD, 1 level 5 or higher DDD, which is no problem, and 1 DD monster. And this will apply to all of them. Like Gust King, I don't have. That actually blends in almost perfectly. You can't see that. And then DDD Wave King Caesar. Pretty same thing applies to them. Next we got double Beowulf, double Curse King Siegfried. And I did have a copy of this, but my friend was reckless when I let him borrow it for a tournament. And he ended up getting it wet and ruined. He had a DD Oracle. Dang it. I never ended up seeing that. I saw it once, and it was completely shredded. The story for a later day. But Beowulf, 3k easy summon. Pierce gives all DDs piercing, and when you have a 3500 piercer, that hurts that you can even raise up more if you're doing tag duels and stuff. We got Siegfried that you can, once per turn during either player's turn, you can target one face of spell trap on the field that has its effects negated until the standby phase. You can only use the effect of Cursed King Siegfried once per turn. If it is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can send this card. No, I'm sorry. To the graveyard, gain 1,000 for each dark contract you control. Pretty nice. Oracle's effect is whenever you take damage from a dark contract, you can gain that instead of taking it as damage. And that does come in handy, and that's my odd ice deck on the back side of this. That is technically illegal. I forgot, I was about to flip it over being like, it's Oracle, but no, it's odd ice. I'm so sorry, guys. Alright. I hope you all have a nice day. An alternative I did have for Wave King is a second Wave King. But beyond that, that's pretty much it for DDs. I will be coming out with my almost complete Light Sworn deck here shortly. Like tomorrow, if not later today. Alright. I will see... Oh. Yep. Alright, so I did change my username on Instagram because I needed to change my name because I was being targeted. So it is now a Coolin the Dark Pegasus, or Dark Pegasus 1, I don't remember. But, and then it's still the Yu-Gi-Oh! Team Casual. By all means, go ahead and follow. I will see you all in another video. Peace out.